Welcome to the Parallel Legacies podcast, where I'm just one of four dudes, and we just happen to be here in the same place at the same time. And I'm not really gonna go, with a whole big intro. We got to my extreme left, we got Mitch.
What's going on?
My left, we got S. Dot.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
To my right, we got Doc Brown.
Hey,
And fellas, this trip, man. So the long and short of it is we've had a little bit of a hiatus on Parallel Legacies, man, and some mental health we needed to take care of, some family health we needed to take care of, some physical health we need to take care of. The long and short of it is we just needed to take care of ourselves for a little bit to get back to this and just get back to who we are, man. And this trip was really the culmination of us taking some time for our own mental health. So I'm happy to see you, brothers, man, because it's been rough. It's been up and down, and I've had some great conversations while we've been here, and you know what I'm saying. That's absolutely what's up, man. Mitch, man, what you got, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Again, like you just said, man, I'm grateful to see all of you guys, man, because a lot of times we don't get together to do that, and I'm glad we were able to. The time that we had off, I kind of spent it, taking care of myself, doing some, self reflection, stuff like that. Just trying to get my family back together, focusing on them, and basically that's it, man. We'll get into what we're going to talk about, and I'll let you guys know a little bit more.
Sure. That's not what you got, fella.
Hey man, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to see everybody. Yeah, man, just really just glad to be here, man. VA, man, it's crazy. Work's crazy, but really taking this time, man, to enjoy, what I'm saying, being with my brothers, Summertime a little hard for me because, the kid, is with his mom, but definitely needed. So man, yeah, grateful to be here, bro.
For sure, Doc.
hey! First off, I just want to say thank you to y'all, man, because y'all are here, really because of me, man. And much as I fought it, hey, man, really big ups to y'all, man. Love y'all, brothers, man. I've been going through a little bit of a illness, and y'all definitely lifted my spirits back. I appreciate it.
Good to hear.
No,
No doubt.
Oh, fellas, let's get to this topic, man. And it's a simple topic, but it's extremely complicated, right? And that topic is communication, right? Like, man, I can talk communication all day. You know what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying? After being married for 20 plus years, and being together, being broke up, and getting remarried, and then have to figure it out again, man. But I don't want to take too much, man. Fellas, y'all got it, man. What communication, man? Let's talk about it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll step in, man. Communication. First of all, I don't think that any relationship can survive without good communication, and I use the word "good" on purpose. We've heard, so many times about communication and people hearing and not listening and things like that. But I mean, I think we're gonna go a little bit deeper than that and touch on some things like as far as when we get into arguments and things like that. So I'm definitely excited to get into this communication thing.
Sure.
I feel like with me, with communication, and I'm just talking about, I'm not talking about everybody in general. It took a long time for me to learn how to do it. I normally keep a lot of stuff bottled up inside, and I carried that for a long time, not being able to open up and communicate to anyone. I mean, even when I was growing up, I wasn't able to do it with my parents or my siblings, and coming out of that, becoming a man, that was one of the things I just kept, and eventually if you keep a lot of stuff inside of you and it's weighing on you and it's heavy like that, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for the person you're with. It's not good. It's not even good for yourself. So I had to teach myself how to do it. Now that that I'm still learning, but now that I feel that I'm able to do it, even with you guys, like if you guys met me, you know what I mean, in my younger time, the way I am now, you probably wouldn't have got this because I was never the type of person to open up to anybody. But I feel like in order for me, to not drive myself crazy, I had to do that. But You know, it's a learning process and it's a continuous thing. And, you know, I think that when we get into the actual relationship aspect of it and even friendships, have to be able to do that. And it shouldn't be something that's forced. It should be something that you want to do because you have to get that weight off your chest in order to, you know, to move forward.
Man, I mean, kind of hard to come in behind that one, right? You know what I'm saying? And even with Doc, but I think Doc said or hit something that resonated with me with you know, actually listening. You know what I'm saying active listening,
Right.
not just listening to respond. You know, like most of us do, and especially in society today. I mean, it's so prevalent. You know, you're waiting to jump into something. You know, okay, hey, let me pull on that thread of an inconsistency so I can win this exchange, right? But actually taking the time to understand somebody else's viewpoint, even though you may or may not agree with it, but coming to that consensus to resolve whatever it is. And I'm one of those people that a lot of things can be settled by just talk or walking away because
Right.
agree to disagree, right? High five and get out of there, but at least both sides had the chance to get something off their chest, you know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna poke y'all in the eye right now because I think y'all stay kind of surface level to start, but it's okay because I'm gonna go.
Well, we gonna dig. Let's go.
Finna go deep.
Let's go.
So anybody that knows that Nasha and I say that we've been together 20. But what people don't know is we had a significant break in between there. You know what I mean? Like it was 3 years, something like that, 3.5 years, where we were legit divorced, went through the divorce proceedings and everything, right? And I think that I can attribute that to a severe lack of communication because I was asking for one thing, she was asking for something, and we didn't have the emotional maturity to be able to look past our own BS in order to effectively communicate with each other. And I think we've all been, of course, we know Doc is a teacher, but we've all been instructors on a military level. And I learned as an instructor that I could give the best class, period. But if my communication is poor for certain students, they won't get it. Right. So I think a lot of that I took from me being an instructor and applied that same skill set to my marriage and to my communication with my children. And I say all the time, it's not the sender, it's the receiver. Because if I'm sending, I'm mad, I'm mad, I'm mad, I'm mad, I'm mad, but the receiver doesn't really pick it up, why I'm mad or what's making me upset, then we're spinning our wheels. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I took, like, when I tell you that I took a lot of me being an instructor into the relationship, because I've been an instructor in one way, shape, or form for the better part of most of my military career, because when I was honor guard, I was basically the lead instructor for the whole base to teach the honor guard curriculum. You know what I mean? And I was a senior airman back then, senior airman, brand new staff sergeant. You know what I mean? And when I started taking that approach to my communication, it improved my relationship exponentially.
No, I completely agree with you. Like even in my relationship, I've said it before. Like my kids are all grown now, and they're out of the house. When you have kids in the house, it's kind of one of those things. Like, hey, could you tell your mom this, or hey, could you tell your dad this? And your communication kind of flows through your kids, right? Because that's what you're doing. Or when you guys are angry with each other, you focus your communication. You start talking to the kid. You don't have to talk to your significant other because the barrier in the house in order to do that, right? When your kids they leave the house, and now you're in an empty nest, and it's just you and your wife. You have to communicate. But here's the crazy part about it. You kind of have to relearn each other. And the reason why I say that is when you met her, it was just you and her and you guys were dating and everything, there was nothing in between y'all. Those kids have been going for 18 years. Do you know how much you've changed in 18 years? I'm not the same person that I met 18 years. I'm not the same person you met 18 years ago. So now that those kids are gone, we have to relearn each other again. And the only way to do that is communicate. now we mature now. We've learned different things. We've become educated and we've done all of this. Most marriages would fail because when the kids move out of the house because we ain't the same people who we were before. So me having to relearn my wife, it may sound crazy, right? I had to relearn her, and she had to do the same thing for me. And there's been, since they've been out of the house, there's been plenty of time where there has been miscommunication. Right? It's not the lack of, it's just the fact that it's been miscommunication. I'm thinking she's thinking one thing, she's thinking that I'm on a page with her, but I'm really not. And it kind of leads to an argument. And then, we have to come back and be like, that's not what I meant. I thought you said this and I thought you said that. And then it becomes like, dang, that argument was for nothing because if we had to just sat down and talk through it, we would have figured it out before this even happened.
Right.
And I believe that, especially as men, it's just not open like that. We don't just go out and we're not quick to just give you my feelings, right? Like that's not what we are. We just don't do that. Women, I feel this is a little bit different because they are able to just be like, this is what I think, this is what I feel. And somebody stole a baby, bro.
Well, we got a whole Amber Alert going on right now.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they find whoever that was.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry. Maybe one of y'all they're looking for. But yeah, man. I mean, I kind of lost my train of thought, but yeah, I'll give it to some.
Hey, I mean, both of y'all kind of hit on it, and something that maybe I don't want to repeat what you said, but just what it came across to me. Every one of us received communication different. As where I couldn't talk to you like I would talk to my girl.
Of course.
It's just because there's going to be a different reception. As I can talk to Mitch, Mitch understands me, we good. Then I try to talk to her, and she has no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
Completely different language. So I think, learning how to communicate with a specific person is very and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So
It's knowing your audience. I mean, to sum up,
yeah.
absolutely knowing your audience and what motivates, that other person or how you actually to send
Right.
the message in order to convey your message, so they understand it accurately. That's all. Touch a little bit on maturity, because you're absolutely right. I was married 8 years, but a year after I got married, we became parents. In my opinion, we were married to this boy that we brought into the world. Right? It wasn't about really us, right? It was about being parents. How can we be the best parents and not be the best for us? Right? The recording stops, the communication stops, the overall what led me to get you pregnant in the first place.
That's a fact.
Ceases because you got baby formula. You got to stay up and you got to drop them off at the CDC. On way to work and all this other stuff and throwing deployments and everything else.
All of your communication is about that kid.
It's that kid. You do a little touch of feelings throughout, but it's like okay, it's kind of like an aerobatic thing. But yeah, here it is, 12 years later. Like, oh, I get that. I understand now. But that needs to be a two-way street. I mean, we've all gone down that rabbit hole of, all right, she comes home, he's not saying anything. Well, what's the first thing we do? We start going down a checklist. Yo, did I take out that trash?
Right.
Did I pick up dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Did I do something? And then you'll ask
Pick up the kids.
You don't get necessarily an answer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that in itself is setting us, man, well, why don't you just say what it is that you need to say so I can stop, trying to play this guessing game. So, yeah, man, it's just so important to be able to talk through what it is that's going on. Because I truly believe had, 39-year-old me,
Right.
would have understood what, 30, 30, of course, like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I might still have a ring on my finger, or maybe not. I don't know. This is cool too. But besides, just understanding that as I progress, through this journey called life. But you look like you about to jump in there. When you look,
I was just gonna say when you said, like, when they come home and you ask this question, hey, what's wrong? You don't get the answer. For me, it was the opposite. For me, she'll ask me, what's wrong with you? And I'll be like, nothing. I'm good. You know what I mean? But in our reality, in the inside, I want to say something so bad, but at the same time, you don't want to start an argument. So you let it go. You know what I mean? But you shouldn't, because now you're building it up. And now when you do have that argument, guess what comes out?
So
The thing that you was mad about a month ago. You know what I mean? It's not fair to her. And that's what I'm saying. I'm still learning to that. What's wrong with you? Well, I need to tell you what's wrong with me right now, because I can't tell you a month later because I'm still holding it.
Right.
And it's just not fair.
But see, the thing is, man, and I don't want it to come across as it, but when it comes to communication, leaps and bounds ahead of us, right? Because at a very, very young age, women are taught. Sitting there crying, what you crying for? Come here, baby, tell me what you're crying for. Come here, baby, tell me what's wrong. But what are we doing with a boy?
What you
Shut up.
crying?
But that's
What you crying for?
Yeah.
What you crying for?
Right.
Fix your face. Get all the tears out your face.
But we don't ask what's wrong.
Right. They never go back, address what's wrong. And when it really hit me in the mouth, right? Because Eric and I were out playing basketball. He's trying to learn how to play basketball. I ain't the greatest coach in the world, but I know a little bit about it. And he got upset. And 5 years ago, as recent as 5 years ago, show all the crying. I don't care what you're crying for. Let's get back to it, right? But I stopped the drill. I say, why are you crying? It's okay to cry, son. I said, it's okay. But why are you crying? And I think because I was beating him, but of course I'm beating him. I've been playing basketball for 35 years. He's 12. Of course I'm. And then I communicated to him why I scored when I scored, because he dragged ass on the court, so I blew right mouth, right? But if he's playing good defense, then I would shoot a jump shot. You know what I mean? To give him a better chance to be able to get a offensive zone. If he got an offense, you try to do some of that fancy stuff, I'm going to still ball every time. But if you go back to your basics, I'm going to give you an opportunity to score back. You know what I mean? But if this is me, is really as recent as 5 years ago, that would have been a teaching moment that I would have missed. Just because, boys are supposed to be tough. I'm still going to try to make it tough, but I have a better understanding of how to get him to communicate, because these lessons are going to help him 15, 20 years out of the month. So maybe he won't have to deal with what I dealt with because of my lack of communication. Because I would say that people are raised relatively the same way. From different parts of the country, we're raised relatively the same way. Boys don't cry. Put your nose to the grindstone and you go get it and not care what's wrong. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways, we talked mental health a couple shows ago, but in a lot of ways, that's the part of it. That's why it takes us as men so long to go and get mental health, because we don't want to communicate.
Yep. And man, completely get that. Not maybe I'm about to be the eye poker here. But so definitely what you're saying is 100% true. And I'm thinking from the emotional stance of communication, yes. But there's so much more to be said as far as how we communicate, because I know that in an argument, women come armed with the information that they're trying to get across to you.
Right.
And a lot of times as men, we're looking at it like, okay, I'm defensive at this point because you shooting bullets at me right now.
That's because they didn't play their argument in their head 12 times before you even walk in the door.
Exactly. And once we get it, now we're getting a thought of version. It is everything that they thought of. We got it. And as men, we are thinkers. We're going to think about it. We can't respond immediately. We can't. It's like, okay, she just said what, and I did who, and I what. Now I have to stop and think about it before I say it. One, because what I'm about to say out of my mouth could definitely hurt your feelings. And I'm a big, firm believer in you can't unring a bell. I tell my kids, I tell mostly everybody, that once it comes out your mouth, hey, they ain't forgetting it.
Right.
So you got to make sure that you communicate those things properly and still get your point across.
Right.
And that is a very difficult balance. That's a very difficult balance because, especially in an argument. So, like we were saying, you kind of lose the initial battle. You might not have lost the war, but you lost the initial battle because you came with it and you were like trying to figure it out.
Right.
So,
nah, because I'm, just something that's recent, and last month, talk about 5 years, about a year, I'd have lost my mind. But just having that awareness, like, okay, if I heard this, I kind of understand where you're coming from and the place you are emotionally, mentally, you know what I'm saying? I don't even need to respond. I'll let you blow it up. I'll punch back, initially, and then be able to go back and explain it. So, to your point, right, to come back. But again, what are we trying to promote here? Tell us what's wrong. I don't like that you did this. Well, why? Because of this. Well, what's the solution? Okay. Well, this is why I did this. It's something that's simple, right? But women, I mean, you said it, man. They will go for the judging because emotionally, that is their time to make you feel everything that they're feeling at that moment. But I don't believe our role is to respond. And
exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's how those real heated arguments start because you're trying to defend yourself with what you're saying, but neither one of you are listening at that point, and it becomes something that is not going to get resolved anyway. So anytime me and my wife have an argument, I make sure that we always, because at the heat of the moment, you're saying things that you really don't mean. You're retaliating based off what they said. It could be some low blows thrown in there, whatever the case may be. So I revisit it and be like, hey, listen, let's talk. There ain't gonna be no screaming. Let's sit down and let's talk and let's figure out what's happened. What led us to where we are right now. You know what I mean? And we'll sit down and we'll talk through it. And it could be something so because I thought you were supposed to do this. And you can be like, dang, I forgot. And then all of a sudden, that argument that we felt was so bad in the first place was minute. It was, you know what I'm saying? But the only way you overcome that barrier is you have to know. You guys been saying all day, actively listen to what they're talking about. Transfer your thoughts towards her. She do the same thing to you. You guys figure out what happened in the first place, and then you overcome it. But if you're not able or not willing to open yourself up to that communication, fail. Relationships fail, friendships fail. All of us sitting around this table, right? I mean, right now, if we didn't openly talk and communicate with each other, we would not be able to crack the jokes that we crack on each other every single day because most of us couldn't handle it. But we know that when we do that, we communicate all the time. And I know you ain't the same as him. And I know, we all know, our each individual vices, and we're cool with that because we're able to talk through things like that because genuinely we're friends. And I mean, most men can't do it. Like I said before, it took me a long time to be able to get to this because I carried a lot, man, that I felt like, I needed to keep inside because no one else needed to know.
Right.
Like, why do you need to know who I am? Why do you need to know what's going on with me? Like, do you really care, or are you just asking me so you can spread my business in the street? It's that's why I kept a lot of stuff bottled up. But eventually, you gotta let it out. But you need to let it out to the right person. You know what I'm saying? That's why friendships are so important. Relationships are so important. And if you value them, you'll communicate. You'll get that out.
So I hope she don't kill me when I say this. Nasha said something that was so insightful. So, man, I can't even think of a word for it. You know what I'm saying? She said to me that a lot of the reason why she had problems communicating with me is because she felt like I used her words as a weapon.
I've heard that.
Man, when she said that, man, I had to sit back and was like, yo, was that really what I was doing to her? And the conclusion that I came to with it, just within myself, was that I wasn't using it as a weapon against her. But as much as we like to say sticks and stones and all that other foolishness, words hurt.
Nice.
Words hurt. You know what I mean? And when a person is said words in a manner to harm you, bro, I've been in some knockdown drag outs with people that I love and care about based on words that they said. Anything that they did physically based on words that they said. And I don't think that makes me an overly emotional person, but you're not just gonna
You know, you bring up a valid point because when you have arguments with people, the thing, because you always play that argument back, right? You play it back and you play back what you said. But the only thing that keeps coming back is all the negative stuff. Like, I can't believe she said that about me. But you're not listening to, like, the reason why I say all you hear is the negative, the negative, the negative. And women do the same thing. All they hear is the negative, the negative, negative. And I'll be like, oh, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that. But you be like, I didn't mean it that way. You know what I mean? You have to play the whole thing back to understand why I said what I said. But and then women, the tears start flowing, and now you're feeling bad because you're like, dang, did I really say that? Because I didn't mean to say that. And then that's why you have to choose your words carefully. Just that you have to choose what you're saying. And when you're communicating, you don't like, especially if you're in a relationship that you value, you don't want to throw those low stones. And you said that, use my words against me. It's not the fact that I'm using them against you. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take what you said and put them all into facts to figure out exactly what's going on. I'm not using anything. What I'm trying to do is figure out why we're here. Why are we arguing right now? And that's all that is. And then I think sometimes women don't understand that. Like, or they'll come at you all at once. Wah, wah, and you're not saying anything. And they get mad because you're not talking back. Like, why are you saying that? Why are you like, listen, I'm not saying anything because number one, processing what you're mad about. And number two, I don't want to give you backlash right now when they're screaming match. So you ain't listening to me anyway. You know what I'm saying? So men walk away, they drive off, and they do these other things like, oh, there you go again, leaving. You know what I mean? Be like, well, I need to calm down, one, and I need to gather my thoughts so I can tell you why you're upset with me.
So I man, that's crazy. But I got to throw one out to the ladies on this one too, because I think we're all guilty, and I get told about it often. Sometimes we're fixed.
right.
Yeah.
I don't like this. Okay, you don't like color, what colors you like? All right, and I'm gonna go paint. In our, you present me a problem. I have a solution. I'm gonna fix it.
Bro, Nasha literally just said that to me like 3 days ago.
But
Sometimes they just want to say,
they don't want you to fix every time. When they tell you to go fix, go fix.
Yep.
I 39 years to figure that out, right? Yo, I just wanted to tell you about Lisa and whoever else and who's at work doing this, and this. And because they both saying she was me and who she thought was dressed, and it was like, okay, great, and then why you wore the dress better? I didn't want you to say that, I don't want you to say that.
I just want to get off my chest how I feel, right? And I want you to listen.
Yeah.
Basically, that's all they want you to do. They want you to listen.
But that right there, for whatever man figures out when and when not to,
right.
please share the secret.
It ain't a secret. You know what I mean? Like we all just said, sometimes they just want to vent. right? So women come to you and it's like, I just need to talk to somebody about my day. And they just, boom, they let it off. You know what I mean? They don't want you to fix anything. They just want to listen to what they're saying. And when they start doing that and you start understanding them, you guys become closer because now you understand her. What makes her mad? What makes her happy? What makes her sad? You know what I mean? Because now you're listening to like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And now, the crazy part about it, when you start actively listening and she has like birthdays, stuff like that, you already know because she told you, but you have to listen for it. You know what I mean? That when you got to go back and be like, what's wrong with you? And she was like, I done told this dude 100 times, you know what I mean? But you ain't listening to me. So, I mean, and it's the same thing for me. Like, even now, if I have a bad day at work, normally I'll call this dude and be like, bro, you ain't believe, you know what I mean? But now I'll go home and I'll vent out my day too. Be like, look, this is what happened at work for me today. Because now we're not individuals. We're now becoming a couple, and she can kind of tell me, hey, this is what I did when I had that situation at work, or vice versa. Now we're becoming more of a power couple because we're able to understand each other. Now she know what makes me mad at work. So when I come home, she's like, oh, what happened with that situation yesterday? And I was like, thanks. Paying attention, and that's cool. And yeah, I think I like that a little bit better than me having to call Doc all the time. And Doc might be like, bro, I'm sick and tired of Mitch calling me, man. I don't care what happened today.
I wouldn't do that to you, brother.
You know what I mean? But and that's the purpose of having a relationship, because at the end of the day, your another or your girlfriend or whatever, they're your friend. And you're supposed to be able to talk to them about that stuff. And when you can't, what's the purpose of the relationship?
Well, Doc, if Doc's sick and tired of hearing y'all, he's sick and tired of hearing all of us.
It seems like he's the voice of reason when we call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I still can't go rob a bank, man, because Doc was like, nah, that's not good.
It's a Doc the only reason why you ain't gonna go rob it.
That's how we have nothing to do with it, huh? Doc said it.
All right, man.
Right.
Let's just let the record show I had nothing to do with him robbing the bank.
And I think we kind of, this communication thing, I think we're all on the same page, right? Like, I kind of feel like, in order for us to get going, we have to communicate. But it's something that I do want to talk about. But when we first came on the show, we all talked about self, uh, your health issues and stuff like that. Let's kind of shift that topic of how we should take care of ourselves as Black men, because we don't. I think back to Chadwick Boseman and people like that who died of colon cancer and stuff like that. That could have been prevented if we were only given a tool like, hey, you guys need to be properly and stuff like that. A lot of times we're not told that, or we ignore those symptoms. And I'm just going to say this, and this is going to get kind of deep for me, but I'm just going to say it. So my mom was the type of person that didn't really go to the doctor or whatever. She was like one of those home remedy type. She really didn't believe in it. So, she started developing this lump or whatever, and she refused to go to the doctor. She didn't want to go, didn't want to do anything, and she wasn't doing any self-care. She wasn't doing anything. She go to the doctor. And when she finally did, is because we made her go.
Right.
And when she finally went, they was like, look, if you had it came early, we could have, done something about it. But then, she had cancer, and then it started to spread in different places because it took so long for her to go to the doctor. A lot of Black people are afraid to go to the doctor because they're afraid of what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
But if you go and it's early enough, the prevention is there. You know what I mean? So when we took this time off, me personally, I took that time to be like, you know what? I'm going to get these checkouts done. I'm going to get all this stuff done because I need to know if everything's okay, at the end of the day, because we ain't, and none of us get any younger. We all, getting older, and, you start to see and hear certain things. When I went, the doctor's like, look, man, you at an age where you need to go get, screened for this and screened for that. Most people shy away from that and be like, man, I don't want to know. But me personally, I think we all should do that because it's healthy. Healthy for all of us because we're all fathers and stuff like that. And our kids need to just be.
So, what I will say that is, I agree with you that we do need to get screened and forward, right? But a lot of that is we passed from tradition to, because there was a time where when people of color went to the doctor, come back out, and it built this distrust of our medical system. I mean, of course, this is 3, maybe even 4 generations ago. We're talking 30s, 40s. And then, of course, 50s, 60s got a little bit better for 70s, 80s got a little bit better, and so on and so forth. But man, I absolutely agree with you. And Nah should be on my head, bro. My head, like, yo, you need to go get checked out, this, that, and the other. Your back been hurting a little bit more.
Right.
Look like you're finna die when you get out of bed every morning. But I will admit that I am still stubborn about it. I am still very stubborn about it. And I really don't like taking medication because of how I'd rather deal with the pain and let the body do what it do as opposed to taking medication for it, because I also suffer from migraine. Like, bro, when the migraines come up, I usually get 3 a month. Usually 3 a month. If I'm doing too much out in the sun, especially being in Arizona. If I'm outside too much, I know I'm gonna have one, and I don't like the way that the medication makes me feel. However, it will probably be a little bit easier for my body because that affects different parts.
So you believe the reason why us as a people don't go to get screened and checked out is because of generational issues?
Yes.
What do you
And
think?
then even with that, like if we could take a poll of from Black people from let's just say major cities across the United, I would bet my last dollar that they would tell you they have a horror story recently. Hospital, Jackson Park Hospital, Chicago, Illinois, where I was born. But people know not to go to Jackson Park. It's what it is. And then a lot of times, because the system has been used, people out here really suffering, can't get proper help because the doctor think you're just trying to get some.
Good. I want to take this from a different perspective, and that is just being a man. This is the perspective that I knew. And I can tell from even dad. My dad be in the hospital, passed out. He won't say a word. You know why? Because that shows a weakness. That shows that I'm not strong enough to handle whatever this problem is. As men, a lot of times we look, man, I'm not telling nobody. Handle this. And then if I'm better, then I'll let everybody know what's going on. It's that, and I don't want nobody to worry about me.
That's the major one.
I don't want them to worry. I don't want my kids to worry. So I'm not going to tell them I'm going through this treatment or whatever the case. And whatever, they won't know. And then all of a sudden I'll be better. Then I can talk about it.
But what happens when you don't get better?
Exactly. And that was the point I'm getting at is we definitely have to do better about, because even though they would worry if you tell them, it's going to be far worse if you don't.
Oh.
That situation is only going to get worse. And then a lot of these, illnesses aren't meant for you to have. It ain't meant for you to be alone. That's why you tell your family, hey, look, I got this going on, especially if it's a serious illness. Well, I mean, I definitely can understand. Yeah, if you're feeling a little sick, don't say nothing. I'm one of those people. I'll tough it out. I'm going to work. I'm doing what I got to do. I'll deal with the sickness when I get back home. So to your point, Mitch, we definitely need to just do a better job. First of all, inquiry. I had a lump on my wrist months. Had no idea what it was and wasn't gonna ask.
Right.
Couldn't care less. I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Right.
Like, okay, it ain't hurting real bad right now, so I ain't gonna say nothing. And then that must start hurting. Like, okay, I'm still not gonna say nothing, but I'm gonna look something up online and see if I can't just wrap it up.
Yeah, but you look up online, you dying tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where will scare you.
You got HIV and pneumonia together. You dying right now.
Yeah. So you just got to put it in perspective that, hey, it's the right thing to do. Go ahead and get to the doctor. Let the doctor kind of figure those things that they pay.
you know what? I'll just sum all this up, right? Been at it for man, and say, yo, be proactive with your health. You know what I'm saying, being open with the communication to the family. You know what I'm saying, your friends, your support system, or whatever. You know what I mean. That's very important. You know, but yes, as you age, there are things that need to be looked at. You know, to prolong life, and make sure that you're good. You know, because you're not here just for yourself, right?
Yeah.
We all got family, so I would just say, yeah, be proactive, and it's not just your health; it's also upstairs too, right? Your mental health as well. Your overall well-being needs to be a proactive thing, and I'll leave it at that.
I feel you.
All right. Well, fellas, final thoughts.
My only final thought is, man, is you know, we talk on the phone quite often, but to sit here in this room with y'all right now and to put eyes on each and every one of y'all, man, you know, it makes my heart smile because at the end of the day, you know, we've said it a million times, man. We are brothers, and we don't do this enough, in my opinion. I feel that, you know, when you're able to put hands on your brothers, man, you know, it goes above and beyond just saying it. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, I love you guys, or whatever. But when you're in a room with them, you know what I'm saying, and you're able to spend time with them, those words mean nothing because you're able to show them what you were talking about. And over this weekend, man, it may not have been a whole lot. It may not have been an elaborate or a movie, as they call it, whatever. Just by us being here together and being able to spend this time, it was amazing enough for me because, you know, some people out there in the world right now be like, man, I wish I could have seen that dude one more time,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And we're able to do it, man. And I appreciate all you guys coming out, man. And that's my final thought.
Man, I definitely echo that. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't know my Instagram handle, so you don't go ahead and get that. Man, definitely, like, man, pleasure always, man. Whenever I get around you, y'all, man, it's man, the feeling that I have when I get my own flesh and blood, y'all are that too, man. So definitely appreciate y'all, man, and yeah, this was a great weekend, even though we didn't. We always trip out, like we trip out, man. All nonetheless, man, very special time, man. And again, like Mitch said, we got to do this.
Uh,
Man, I mean, it is, man. Good weekend with brothers. Went down memory lane a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, this was definitely warranted, man. Need to have more of it. Man, I love y'all, bro. All I got.
Love you too, bro.
well, I'm gonna be that dude. I don't like y'all that much. I don't want to see. I'm just joking.
He the man. Don't let him fool you.
I told y'all, man, you dude's an emotional bully.
That's a Teflon teddy bear,
You
bro.
know, but we talk about communication and we talk about taking care. These are things that I'm happy to have somebody pull my coattail in this room, pull my coattails. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, you need to go and get it together. You know what I mean? And to be quite honest with you, hopes be with your rearing and raising up. For them not to have to deal with what we dealt with growing up and learning it all. And you know, as much hell as we give, you know, millennials forward, the late millennials forward about, you know, their work ethic, so forth. You know, with some of the stuff they got it right. So with personal days and with getting away from things, some of it they got it right. I mean, it's some things that they could take from early millennial Generation X and back for it to make a better generation. But there's some things that we. Mitch, give me your information, man. Give me your Instagram and how people can get a hold of you.
Unlike this guy over here, I know mine. You guys can catch me on Instagram, man. That's Special Agent P. That's where I am. And also, as always, if you guys are down in the Florida Panhandle area or anywhere in Florida, you guys looking for a home, man, you guys can hit me up, man. Eliza Mitchell sent you 21.com.
Good shot, fella.
Hey, and I like to keep it simple because I'm a simple person. Rod.lane on any of the social media platform. Rod.lane.
For sure. We got Doc
Don't
Brown 11.
go over there. Heal myself.
Still remember that is Doc Brown 11 on Instagram, man. That's how you get a hold of Doc Brown. And as for me, I am one half of the Sophisticated Spark podcast. You can find Sophisticated Spark on any podcasting platform. I am DJ_YN4 on Instagram. And then we got Parallel Legacies everywhere. You can find Parallel Legacies on iTunes. What's the other one that Android use? You know, y'all. I know y'all got your own spot, your podcasting stores.
We don't talk about Bruno. We don't know what that is.
You can find us anywhere on any podcasting platforms. We also got our group on Facebook, Parallel Legacies group. We also got Parallel Legacies podcast. That's where we handle a lot of the parallel business. info.parallelllegaciespodcast@gmail. Want to get a hold of us directly. We're also on Instagram at Parallel Legacy. On Instagram, Parallel Legacies podcast.
It was a great show. And if we win this Powerball tonight, our next show is going to be in Brazil.
For the show in Brazil.